Iga Świątek and Jessica Pegula have just walked out ahead of our first main commentary match of the day here on Sports Extra. They're playing for the right to play Daria Kasatkina, who's a Grand Slam semi-finalist for the first time. A nervy conclusion, but she beat Veronika Kudermetova 6-4, 7-6. Let's hear from the world number one now. How does she feel going into this match as she looks to extend this incredible winning streak to 33 matches?
I feel actually a little bit better because I felt like I was a little bit in trouble and I was able to come back and really refocus and find other solutions. So that's great. And kind of I didn't have a chance to do that in previous matches because they were, I was leading in the first rounds and then I finished it right. And I tried to take, some positives from the first set. Obviously, it wasn't like the best that I lost from, 5-2 or 5-3. But still, I was able to come back in second set and really lead the game again. So I take that from the match, yeah. In Australia, it was pretty still surprising for me that I can come back and that I can restart and that I can, really find solutions. Right now, I still have belief that I can do that. And it's something new because before it wasn't that obvious for me. And we still have chances in second and third. So I try to really focus on that. And it's really great for me that physically and mentally I'm ready to win those second sets, even though it wasn't easy in the first one.
Annabelle, I think she's still by some margin, isn't she, the best player in the draw?
Definitely.
But that was a stressful match against Zheng Xinwen when she lost that first set from several winning positions on a tiebreak. And who knows what might have happened after that if Zheng hadn't had the leg problem and, in particular, some quite severe period pains that she talked about afterwards. It was a stressful moment, and it is stressful trying to win a Grand Slam title, even if you're the overwhelming favourite, perhaps especially if you're the overwhelming favourite and world number one.
Yeah, she said that, it's not been easy, suddenly taking over this world number one mantle and having to cope with the pressure. One good thing was that tournament directors are now sort of starting to ask her what time she'd like to play, and they're actually listening to her, she said, which was quite nice. But you're right, she had to find solutions, but she said in many ways it's given her a lot of confidence that she found those solutions in that match, because everything's been pretty effortless for her in the last, 32 matches on the roll at the moment.
Yes.
And maybe that's helped her because there was going to be a stressful moment at some point, and she said that she was focusing too much on her technique on the court, and it was becoming very crowded in her mind, and wasn't able to think straight out there. And I think she said she started thinking about music.
She started singing a song, didn't she? Dua Lipa. That's what she was singing in her head.
She said, I often sort of sing in my head, and I think that just took away and allowed her mind to free up. And she said, I wanted to stop talking to the box, stop focusing back there, stop focusing on technique and just play with instinct and freedom. And I thought that was a very mature attitude to some difficult moments in the match. And as I said, I think that probably has helped her coming forward into this match. She's probably got her difficult moment out the way.
And tell us about Jessica Pegula, the 11th seed, who was a quarter-finalist at the Australian Open as well. How highly do you rate her?
Very highly. I've admired her since I first saw her when she got through to the quarterfinals in Australia a couple of years ago, and then did it again, as you said, recently, and then reached the finals in Madrid. She's got a great coach in her box, David Witt. He's worked with Venus Williams, isn't it, I think, in the past, and such a calm presence, such a great knowledge behind her game. And she was someone who was a very, very good player earlier in her career, and then had some terrible injury setbacks, some operations, and she had to sort of take her time to break through again. But so hardworking. I love the way she strikes the ball, very heavy, big blows from the back of the court. Has been working on a lot more spin on the ball, working on her clay court game, because she's a much better hard court player, but I think her results this season show that she's really become quite a force on the clay courts, and she's got a great temperament. She never really gets flustered. She just goes about her business. Really nice footwork around the ball. Does everything well, but whether or not it's enough to really challenge Świątek, I'm not sure. I think there's so much at her disposal, Świątek. I think she has many layers, plan A, B, C, D, you can just keep going. So we'll have to see, but she's a good character.
Well, we are about to find out. It is the final women's quarter-final. It's Jessica Pegula, the latest player in the Lion's Den, trying to end this amazing run by the world number one, Iga Świątek. Annabelle and David have the first set for you here on Sports Extra.
Thank you very much, Russell. Yeah, this is interesting to see if Pegula can figure out a way to cause problems for Iga Świątek, which both of her last two opponents have managed to do somewhat, as the first backhand goes long from Pegula, who is quite self-aware as a tennis player and as a human being. She was recently tweeting about the form of Świątek, and she says, you know, goodness help us when we get onto clay, which is her favourite surface, because she's been beating us all on hard courts so handily. She did win their first match, did Pegula, but that was a while back. That was 3 years ago in Washington on a hard court. 2 hours and 20 minutes, that one. Their most recent match was in Miami, and that was earlier this year. 6-2, 7-5 for Świątek in the semi-finals. But she hits a good ball, does Pegula, doesn't she? She's got a really sort of hefty ball strike.
Yeah, hefty's a good word for it. It's very heavy, and you know, she gets a lot of body weight behind it, and you can hear a real thud out of the strings. And she's also very rhythmical. She's almost Capriati-like, the way she sort of thumps the ball, and it all looks very effortless and easy. You know, she doesn't change the pace. It all comes out of the strings at pretty much the same trajectory. But I enjoy watching her play. She's the sort of player that makes you want to get out there, pick up a racket and have a go at what she's doing.
Yeah. Oh, Capriati, that's a nice flashback.
Yeah, well, she sort of kind of almost is the same, similar style, isn't it?
I'm going to watch out for that, absolutely. Here's her backhand down the centre. She does hit the ball flat. And yes, I see what you mean with that forehand. The take back and the follow through, and really swishes it through. Hits it flat, powerfully. She's put that into the tram lines. 30 all. She needs a good start, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does, just to give herself some belief. I mean, she loves to move forward and take the drive volleys out of the air. She takes the ball very early. She hits, you know, very much up on the baseline. And, yeah, I enjoy her temperament, actually, as much as anything. I think she's just so calm. She just sort of seems to have it all under control. Yeah. Very intelligent player, intelligent person. Yeah, you hear her speak off the court, and she just sounds like a really interesting person.
And a nice person. I mean, it's quite interesting how she comes across as so grounded, and yet her family own the Buffalo Bills, and they are billionaires. So she's done an incredibly good job, I think, as she watches that forehand go down the line and away by Świątek. So first break point, not to be a spoilt brat.
Yeah,
in all
exactly
honesty.
that, David. You're spot on. I think that's what's so admirable about her, is that she's incredibly giving as a person, very respectful towards opponents, very warm, actually. You know, in some defeat, she'll say very nice words about her opponents. Yeah. I think she just comes across so well.
Well, she's just hit a lovely forehand, and again that Capriati style follow through, and when she clocks the ball, it stays clocked.
It does. It looks like a bag of concrete attached to it.
Juice in the first game. It's a good start, actually, from both players. They're both hitting the ball very confidently on this freshly swept clay court, which is orange in colour. And we can see the little dusty surface to it. It almost looks like the players have landed on a different planet, as the backhand is hit cross-court by Pegula. Now she goes down the centre, but that's going too long. Not quite the margin for error, maybe, that other players with more topspin would have.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. She, you know, as I said, she sort of hits it very one-paced out of the string, so she doesn't... I mean, she can occasionally loop the ball up, but it's not really her style. She likes to be the aggressor, step on the pedal, put a foot down, and, you know, be hitting forward and on the attack.
Forehand down the centre by Pegula. This is advantage Świątek for an early breaker serve here. Now she's going to line up the backhand. Everything's so compact with the way Świątek hits the ball. And down the line, you have no idea which way the ball's going until it leaves the strings. I don't anyway. I'd be curious to see what Annabelle thinks. Here's an inside-out forehand winner by Świątek. She's broken immediately. She's playing gorgeous tennis. And I genuinely do not know which way the ball's going to go, the way she sets up. Can you see any signs?
I can't. And it's also a very unusual forehand, isn't it? Because it's taken back with a slightly bent elbow, and she gets the ball out in front, and then she just unleashes the power. But it's such controlled power, and it's got a lot of rotation on it, a lot of heaviness as well. I mean, it doesn't look quite as attractive as Pegula's forehand, actually. It's sort of a different look. It's almost... I almost want to say it's a slightly ugly looking forehand. I mean, it's slightly
really?
odd looking shot.
She sort of whips it up the back, and it all looks a bit...
It's kind of an odd looking shot. It's not aesthetically beautiful or flowing or sort of Federer-like, if you like, but my goodness, it's effective. And I remember someone pointed her out to me. It was the year before she won here as a teenager, and it was out on the Bullring court, which sadly is no longer there. It was always my favourite court here, and they said, go and have a look at this young teenager. She's absolutely incredible, and I couldn't have agreed more when I went to see her.
Annabel Croft here with us on 5 Sports Extra with the world number 1 Iga Świątek starting well here, so confidently. The ball has bounced then. She could have taken it out of the air with a drive volley. She let it bounce, but within an instant, she doesn't wait for it to drop. She sort of... It bounces. She's almost half volleying it for a winner.
Absolutely. She just, takes it on the rise. She's got wonderful movement and footwork skills around the back of the court, and she gets herself in position, and she doesn't hesitate. She's very clear thinking.
Body serve from Świątek, who's returned to her first few rounds form here. That may be a difficult sight for Pegula, who's hitting the ball nicely, playing a drop shot of her own, but in comes Świątek, cross-court with a forehand. Now she's underneath the lob, and she just, pats it long. That really should have gone in the court.
Long? I think it might have been in.
Was it in?
I think she's actually hit the line. It was an ugly-looking smash, wasn't it?
I thought she put that out.
I did. Well, she sort of came through with the racket face open. It was sort of quite hunched the way she hit it. But it actually worked, and she actually apologised to Pegula after that, because I think she felt it was a bit lucky.
The sun is beaming down right now, and if you do put the ball up and have it catch the sun, I would imagine you get dazzled, really, as all you're going to see is blue sky, sun, and a couple of white clouds. It's a lovely day. I'm not complaining. It's 23 degrees Celsius today. 40 love for Iga Świątek, world number 1. Who's on this incredible winning streak of 32 match wins in a row now?
Including some Billie Jean King Cup matches in there. But it's quite a roll she's on. And also that aura that she brings out onto the court these days. You can imagine she sort of won half of the match in the locker room before she stepped out onto court.
Yes. Backhand winner down the line by Pegula, showing she's got some firepower.
Yeah.
The next player on the list that she's trying to catch is 34 in a row from Serena Williams back in 2013. So 32 Świątek is up to now. This dates back basically to when Ash Barty retired. They just didn't overlap. They had their own periods of dominance and in this year, and that's really it. Nobody else has had a look in as the backhand goes into the bottom of the net from Świątek.
Well, clever return of serve, and that's another thing that I've been watching Pegula on the clay this year, where she just bunts and chips and blocks a lot of returns of serve, and it sometimes lands deep but sometimes short like that, but no pace on it, and that was a little awkward for Świątek. She got the footwork all wrong on that one.
First time that Pegula has reached the quarterfinals here, as she leans into her backhand, puts it cross court. She's won a couple of points in a row here, but it's 1-love and 40-30 down. Hits a forehand cross court. Down the line, netted by Świątek.
When you just watch between forehand and backhand, actually, Świątek is also quite hunched up on the backhand as well. So everything is sort of quite hunched in the shoulders, and yet so incredibly effective. And it's what happens between when that racket and the strings hit the ball. It doesn't matter about that swing path or, you know, what it looks like. It's incredibly effective.
1-love Świątek. This is deuce. Serve down the centre, just misses the centre service line. Line judge's arm goes out. Feels almost like a New York or an Australian Open day today. Everybody's got their hats on. It's beaming down the sun at the moment as the backhand is hit down the middle. Don't get the humidity you get in New York though. Here's a forehand inside out struck by Świątek, then a backhand cross court just over the net it's going, and then into the net from the pole. And this is a real turnaround in this game, breakback points.
Yeah, she just sort of flailed her arms around after that, looked down at her player box. From 40 love back to break point, won't feel good. I think she's a little more doubtful, I would say, after that match in the previous round than we have seen in the first three, where she looked unstoppable and unbeatable. I think there's a little bit more vulnerability about her, a little bit more self-doubt there.
I agree with you, as big forehand hits the top of the net, and we've got a break back, and that has come out of nowhere, in all honesty. She was in total charge, a game and 40 love up, and she'd lost 5 points in a row.
Yeah, it started from that massive return of serve from Pegula, who leant in on that backhand, took a real big hit at it, and it paid off, and went from bad to worse after that.
Annabelle was referencing the start to the tournament that Iga Świątek made, and the first two matches she lost a combined total of 4 games in 4 sets, with 2 of them at 6 love. She hits the top of the net with that forehand. The third round was more of an effort. Danka Kovanic extended it to an hour and a half, 6-3, 7-5. And then Zheng Qinwen of China, well, the first set they played, which was a tie-break set, that lasted an hour and a half. Zheng won it.
Pegula a little bit irritated there that she was ready to serve, and Świątek had gone all the way over to the side of the court, took some time to towel off, and she looked up and then she looked at the umpire as if, come on, where is she? She's supposed to be playing to my time.
Well, Świątek's hero in life is Rafael Nadal, and that was a bit Rafa-like, wasn't it? And we saw some of that last night, didn't we, Annabelle, between him and Djokovic, and there was some irritation being shown there between those two. Here's a backhand chip bringing Świątek in. She hits her cross-court backhand for a winner.
Yeah, Pegula's used this tactic before in matches where she's got that ability, not with just the drop shot, but also to try to draw opponents in and forward, as Nadal did so effectively last night against Djokovic, and then going for the pass. But that time Świątek was up to it pretty quickly, didn't really pay off. But I do think, as I said before, with David Witt in her corner, he's such a great tactician. You know, he'll have really thought about the tactics today against Świątek, studied the tapes, what she's comfortable with, what not. You know, there's a real game plan, I'm sure, in place.
1 game all, 15 all. She hits her backhand down the line. Now, oh my goodness, she's got completely confused as to where the ball was going to bounce there, and she was setting up for a backhand, then she had to try to hit a forehand but almost defend her face as her forehand's hit down the line by Świątek for a clean winner.
Yeah, it was used as a shield, wasn't it? It was, yeah, I think she just got a bit stuck with the footwork. The other thing I would say about Świątek's game, which is completely different and is just a talent that she has that a lot of the tour don't have, is this ability to open the court up from a central ball. And, you know, it's one thing to be able to take a central ball and just send it back into the corners, but she has the ability to make it go outside and keep travelling by the way that she hits it. And that's just a God-given talent that she's got.
Yeah. 1 game all, 30 all, and Pegula's doing a good job here of making this competitive early on. Bit worried at a game and 40 love down, but she's turned that bit around. She hits the sledgehammer forehand down the line, then goes cross-court with another two-handed backhand. Long goes Świątek, and the route through for Pegula, she beat Wang in the first round, 6-2, 6-4, and then she had a real battle against Anhelina Kalinina.
It's a difficult one, that one.
I'm going to get it right, Annabelle. 6-4 in the third, 2 hours and 26 minutes. She had another really long one as well in the fourth round against Irina Camelia Begu, the world number 63. Came back from a set down to win that in more than 2 hours. So she's had some battles, and she's fending off a huge forehand but from Świątek, but she can't get it over the net. So deuce and 1 game all.
Yeah, I think she said that she feels quite proud of the fact that all of those players are clay court specialists, and the fact that she's come through some difficult matches, you know, really sort of problem solved and found solutions. That's a good boost, isn't it? A good platform to play from up against the world number 1.
Yeah. Because I don't think she regards herself as a clay court specialist. She hasn't been beyond the third round before this year, but she's showing that her hard court game, if you like, with a bit of added patience, can be effective, and she's a point ahead here now, advantage.
That's a good way of describing it. It definitely looks like she's playing hard court tennis on a clay court. You know, the way that she sort of moves the ball around. She's very good at redirecting it into the corners, and it's all about the movement and being balanced. She always looks very balanced when she's playing.
Forehand hit cross court, but into the net by Pegula, so back to deuce. And actually, it was listening to Emma Raducanu in her pre-tournament press comments that made me think about that, because she's kind of learning clay court tennis on the job, really. She's never done it before, and she said, I've started to realise, you know, you can sometimes flatten your shots out and play kind of hard court tennis on it, but you've got to be more patient as a forehand goes down the line from Pegula for winning.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's funny, isn't it? Depending on what the style of the player is on any surface, they can make a slow hard court look quick, or vice versa. And sometimes, you know, clay can look incredibly slow, or it can look really, really pacey and fast, as Nadal made it look last night. I mean, he made it look like a sort of fast carpet indoor court, didn't he?
His attitude to it was ignore the surface, just knock him off the court.
Yeah, definitely. I think Świątek has also adapted a little bit in terms of how she's trying to play her tennis generally. She's put way more aggression on the ball, trying to finish points off a bit quicker.
The chip into the net there from Świątek. 1 game all, an advantage Pegula.
She's a little bit irritated out here. Now look, she's going to the towel once again, David, and Pegula's already ready to serve.
Yeah, this is... Oh, right now, Pegula's actually bouncing the ball, and she was going to go and serve, almost to make a point then, as much as anything. Look, I am ready, she's not there, and then she had to bounce the ball again. That was really very clear, wasn't it?
A few mind games going on.
Here's the serve into the backhand corner, and a backhand on the centre by Pegula. She's got the advantage for a 2-1 lead to try to get ahead in the score for the first time. It's a forehand from Świątek though, cross court, deep, penetrating. It is not coming back.
It's quite joyful to watch that shot, isn't it? It's incredible because, as I said, it's like a bent arm. She doesn't really extend even on the follow-through. It's still quite bent when she finishes the stroke. And yet, you know, that heaviness that she hits it with, and very difficult to read. You can't see which direction.
Forehand hit off the back foot by Pegula. She's doing really well to stay in these rallies because the depth and power that is coming her way is something to behold. Every one of these balls hitting the baseline. This is like Novak Djokovic style tennis. Forehand chip down the centre though by Świątek. She loses the point. And I'm impressed with Pegula's start. Her kind of perseverance as much as anything else.
Yeah, she's hanging in there, as you say, absorbing some of the big strikes on the back of the court. She looks very at ease with it. It's looks to me playing very much within herself. And she's doing enough out here to get under the skin of Świątek. She just switched her racket in, a bit of irritation after missing that last ball.
Forehand cracked down the centre by Pegula, and Świątek nets, and she leads for the first time in the match by 2-1. And got to say, in terms of it being a contest, that's a really good sign.
Well, I think very mentally strong, actually. Psychologically, she's standing up to Świątek. She doesn't look intimidated. There's no nerves in evidence at all. She's just free swinging. She's built up her sort of reserves, I think, and is playing from a very good platform, I would say. And I think she's going to trouble Świątek. It's certainly not one-way traffic. I think that second game was really hugely important, coming back from love 40.
And sometimes I think a player can win a match just by sort of being solid, and I feel like Zverev achieved that yesterday against Carlos Alcaraz. He let him beat himself.
Yes, very good point. And I just think there's way more sort of vulnerability. I've said that word before, but you can just see by the irritation from Świątek, she doesn't look quite as calm on the court. I suppose the pressure is ramping up, isn't it? It is her championships to lose. Everybody's been talking about her just going to be winning it, and I think it's probably just having its impact. And I guess you also have to think she's won so much. She's won everything this year, and at some point it does have to catch up with her. You know, 5 titles back to back. been an extraordinary run, and you know, only time in matches now when things get a little edgy, it's sort of new territory, isn't it?
Yeah, that must be an interesting mental space to be in, to try not to get into, not to think like I might, which is, you can't lose playing the way you are. You've won 32 matches in a row. You're definitely going to win the title.
Yeah.
She can't afford to think like that.
No, that's right. So I think she needs to, as she said, go back to just free hitting, maybe put some music in her head and play on instinct rather than panicking about techniques.
Forehand cross-court long by Świątek. Do you like playing on clay?
Do you know, I've learnt to love it, actually. I wasn't brought up on it. I didn't really understand the surface, was pretty bad on it. And if I had a choice of what surface to play on now, just for pure enjoyment, it would always be clay. I find it a fascinating surface, and it's so good for technique. I feel like it's getting a giant ironing board out and an iron, and it sort of irons out any problems in your game, because it'll be exposed immediately on a clay court. So, you know, if you really drill on clay, you can really find your game. I think it's a wonderful surface. I really wish I had spent a lot more time on it when I was a junior.
2-1 for Pegula, 15 all, and this is a little bit of a test for Świątek immediately. But she's hit a service winner out wide. There's a big plaster on the left thigh of Pegula, sort of strapping around the middle of her thigh. I don't know whether she's got any significant problem. It might be just that sort of kinesio tape that they use to keep the muscles together and warm and all that. She hits her backhand cross court. It seems to be moving okay, but there's no getting that back from the Świątek. Backhand winner down the line.
I was talking to Nick Brown, former British player, now coach for many, many years, and he's a mind of information, actually. I was talking to him yesterday for quite some time, and of course he worked with Świątek and with her for about 4 years, and still very much in contact with her. And he was saying that one of the things he's found so impressive is her movement, and that the physical trainer, and he's actually her physio as well as her physical trainer, so she's got 2 for 1.
Right.
So it's a great deal. But apparently he is amazing, and you know, the work that they've done in terms of her movement. And was it McEnroe that was saying the other day that he felt that her movement on clay was some of the best movement he's ever seen?
That's lofty praise, isn't it?
Really is.
She does have incredibly quick footsteps,
Yes.
just little tip, tip, tip.
Tip, tip, yeah, tippy toes, sort of around the ball. You can't really hear her. You don't hear the feet working.
2-all here in the opening set of this women's quarter-final. The winner will face Daria Kasatkina, who was a winner in straight sets over Veronika Kudermetova earlier on. Here's a forehand hit cross-court by Świątek. Now a backhand that she's sprayed and miscued into the front row of the spectators, now having a good laugh because they caught the ball.
Yeah, and she looked back to her camp and yelled out something then, but that's quite a few errors that are just leaking out of her racket. Uncharacteristic. Edgy.
Still to come today, we've got Andrei Rublev up against Marin Cilic, the resurgent 33-year-old in the body of a 25-year-old, as he told our Russell Fuller a couple of days ago. Marin Cilic, great to see him playing good tennis again, and he beat Daniil Medvedev a couple of days ago. Here's a forehand down the centre by Świątek. Now she's going to hit a backhand cross-court. Pegula's equal to it. What a drop shot from her. In comes Świątek, though, and reads it and handles it. And I don't think Pegula was really ready for her opponent to reach that. It was such a good drop shot. I think she's thought, oh, I've done well there.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the ball came back.
That's exactly it. I think she thought she'd won the point with that drop shot. Actually, I did too. I thought it was a good one, but Świątek's so quick up to it. And when she gets to these drop shots, it's what she does with the ball afterwards. Got great hand skills, pushed it deep, made that shot very tricky.
2-all, 15-all. Backhands hit and skewed out of court.
She's done a good job here, Pegula, of making her opponents, Świątek, feel very uncomfortable. And that's the one thing in tennis when you're competing, is how comfortable or uncomfortable can you make your opponent feel. And she's doing a very good job right now of doing exactly that.
I feel like she's doing what she can do, what she does well,
Yeah.
plodding along. I know that might sound like I'm damning her with faint praise, but it's consistent. It's to her length. It's good shots. It's not spectacular. All the winners are coming from Świątek's racket, but so are all the errors.
Yeah.
And she just hit another backhand long as the pole. 2 games all, 40-15 for the American.
That missed by quite a distance. And that will unsettle her once again when she next shapes up to really hit a backhand.
Here's a backhand down the centre by Pegula in a forehand cross court. She really hits a low trajectory over the net, flat, piercing ground strokes that I think Świątek quite likes facing, but sometimes her sights have been a bit out, like there, and she's hit a backhand down the line. She had to try and bend down on one knee to hit that shot because the ball was low to the ground, and she didn't get underneath it enough. And it's 3-2 now for Jessie Pegula, who I don't think ever really thought necessarily that she would be in this sort of position a couple of years ago. I mean, she's 11th seed now. I mean, I don't think many people were talking about Jessica Pegula being a player that would be in top 10 sort of area of the sport a few years ago.
No, I don't think so. I think she's just done it by sheer hard work and determination. She's chosen a great coach, she's got a good team. And, you know, as you said, grounded, head down, and there's no frills attached to her at all. And now she's earned that respect. I think people who look at a draw and see their name next to hers think, this is going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's changed around now. If you look at her age, she is now 28 years of age. And looking at her ranking history, I mean, she's been playing the sport. She got into the top 300 11 years ago, and then her ranking went 147, 123, down to 198, and she didn't break the top 100 until 2019. So she was basically a player for 8 years before breaking the top 100. She went from 124 to 55, stayed at that sort of level at 59 in 2020, and then suddenly up to 18 last year. And now here she is, the 11th seed.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was down to hip surgery she had in August, was it 2017? She also had knee surgery. And I know she said she read a book which was called Coming Back Stronger. I don't know it myself. I haven't read it, but it was written by another, I think it was a New Orleans quarterbacker or something.
Right.
And
I feel like I need to read it after last night.
yes, exactly.
Get some energy for the day.
Yeah, but I think he was an athlete who had also come back from really difficult surgery and wasn't sure if he was going to play, and it really inspired her, she said.
Forehand hit cross-court by Świątek, who's 15 love ahead here, but it's Pegula pouncing on a backhand. She didn't quite get hold of that there. The ball was lofted from her opponent. She tried to take it on the rise. Now she's got another chance to really smack one, but Świątek's read this, gone down the line with the backhand, chipped cross-court on the forehand by Pegula. Now down the line from her. This is a great rally from these two. Oh, what a finish from Świątek. Cross-court with her backhand. They were going side to side, all of them good shots, and it was the world number one who finished the job.
Very high quality point. I mean, just moving the ball around into the corners, depth on it, precision, accuracy, pace. They're really pushing each other physically and mentally.
Yeah, great to see. Forehand blasted return down the centre and polished off then by Świątek down the line.
Have too much time to think about that forehand. That was very instinctual. Ball came back with pace, quite deep, and she just got the racket back early, struck it and used that pace down the line. It's a bit more of a straightforward service game, this.
Point for 3-all. It's an ace down the centre from Świątek, who's hitting the high notes that are being heard in this match. But she's also hitting the low notes, and it's her opponent who's just keeping a nice sort of middle ground at the moment. And then hence it's 3 games all.
Yeah, so important for Pegula to just keep that scoreline as tight as possible, keep on applying the pressure, making Świątek think a little bit more out here, not giving it one-way traffic.
And it's nice to see now because the crowd is getting full, because this match is extending and being competitive, and down the line goes Świątek, and the crowd really come alive for that shot.
Also, it's very bright, as you said, and the longer that the sun is shining out here, you can almost feel the conditions quickening up by the moment. You know, there's nothing heavy about what's going on out here. It's very, very bright sunshine. That makes the clay a little bit more powdery.
Right. Yeah. You can see that, can't you? It feels lighter in colour as well, as she hits her forehand down the centre, does Świątek. She has love 15 on Pegula's serve. Pegula hitting a big backhand cross court, and again she's targeting the backhand side. Now Świątek does get a forehand, and she's so difficult to stop when she gets a forehand, and she has won that point as well, because when she hits that ball, there's not only pace on it, but there's excessive topspin, and you see the ball hit the ground and jumping into the distance.
Yes, you do. It really rears up, doesn't it? It's the way that she produces that stroke with quite a lot of wrist action and acceleration through the ball. Natural kind of talent, natural spin.
And we've got a pigeon for company just outside our commentary box. Has just landed on the lights, wants to keep us company and watch from our view.
Yeah, did you see what he had? He had this great big twig that was bigger than him or her, and flew right across it. So I was trying to build a nest up there somewhere.
I think it was a baguette, a little baguette. Yeah, that's what they eat around here. Here's a backhand down the centre by Świątek, who's got 15-30 on her opponent's serve now, and she's netted a backhand, but that's because Pegula has gone long. So we have 2 break points for the world number 1 here.
Yeah, she keeps on pressing, and she hasn't allowed it to affect her too much. Some of these unforced areas that were in her game earlier, she's tightening up the screws a bit, and she's also maintaining that position on the baseline, pushing Pegula a little bit further past the baseline. It feels like she's pushing her backwards a bit.
3 games all, 15-40, 31 minutes on the clock. Świątek with a backhand return down the centre, now moves to her left, hits another one. Pegula's there, she's happy to take the ball on the rise with these backhands. Now she drops shots, in comes Świątek, and she still reaches it. I don't know how. How did she get that? She was almost out of my eyesight in the picture because she was so far away from it.
That was absolutely jaw-dropping. I still can't believe what I just saw, because I don't think she was ever going to get to that drop shot, and suddenly her legs were sort of splayed as if she was about to do the splits, and the slide that she made in to then be able to pick it up with her racket, she nearly fell over when she actually got there, and it had to be a winner, otherwise there's no way she would have got back to it. But they're just going to show it on the big screen here on the Philippe Chatrier court, so we can have another look at it. But the slide she made to get underneath that,
and still to control it cross court, amazing,
incredible. Yeah.
What's your view now on the drop shot for Pegula? Because we've seen her play 2 of them, and they were both good ones, but she lost both of the points. Now, obviously, it can put a bit of a guessing game in the mind of an opponent, but if you're the coach, if you're David Wood, are you thinking, actually, maybe put that shot away, she's too quick?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the one thing it will do is unsettle Świątek to not get too comfortable on the baseline, just to keep going side to side and not knowing whether it's coming. So it still has some sort of impact, even if she doesn't win the point with it.
I hate to say it, we've just seen a very close-up of that replay. That was a double bounce.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you know,
that was a double bounce.
That.
And Świątek's been given the point, and she's got to break a serve.
Oh, I want to see it back now.
Definite double bounce.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny you should say it, because when I kind of caught it out of the glimpse of my eye, corner of my eye again, that thought did go through my head.
Yeah. I mean, and they've slightly stitched themselves up here, because if Pegula was looking up at that screen that I was looking at, it's in the stadium. This is not one we got in the commentary box. It was as clear as day.
Was it?
If you actually just concentrated on that picture, she mustn't have been looking, because if she was, she'd be up to that umpire saying, "Look."
Well, yeah, I mean, even Świątek, actually, she was sort of splayed and like almost wasn't looking, was she?
Yeah.
She was just trying so hard to get the ball. Maybe, I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here, that maybe she didn't even know. I'm not sure.
I would think that's the case, because, I mean, the speed that she's going, and as you say, arms outstretched and all that sort of thing. Anyway, 4-3. Świątek's got a bit of luck there. She's netted a backhand, 15 all. Here's a mid-court forehand for Świątek at 15 all now. She puts it into the open court, leading by 4 games to 3. I think you've just seen that replay, haven't you, Annabelle?
I have, and you're spot on. I can't quite believe it, because normally the umpires are so sharp about things like that. I'm sure if we'd seen it again, you know, there would have been a discussion about it. But yeah, quite disappointing to see that, because it was quite a big point.
Yeah, I mean, that's what sealed the break that currently separates these two players. 4 games to 3, 30-15, lobbed return by Pegula. Maybe she needs to get that drop shot out again then. It wasn't such a bad idea after all, except she came off on the wrong side even though she didn't deserve to. She steps in, hits the forehand. There's a bit of anger in that one for Pegula. And my word, that ball stayed hit. 30 all.
Yeah, I think in pro tennis these days, as we've seen all week, if you just come off the ball a fraction, and when I say come off it, it means you don't get a clean strike on it and you don't get your body weight behind the ball, that point is over. You know, the opponent will take advantage, and that's what happened right there in that last point. So Świątek still having to work hard here to try and stay ahead.
Mid-court forehand, cross-court crunched by Świątek. She's underneath the lob and she swats it away. Well, it is a bit of a shame that this first set might be decided on a shot that shouldn't have counted. And that is the situation right now, because it's 4 games to 3 for Iga Świątek, 40-30, but she broke in the last game on a shot that was a very clear double bounce when we looked at the replay. Impossible really to see in real time. I don't blame the umpire, but it's a shame they can't have another look. Here's a backhand hit cross-court by Świątek. Now she hits that shot down the line. Pegula hits her forehand down the middle, flat and piercing. Great rally this, great hitting from both players. Świątek tries to finish it down the line with a forehand, but she puts it in the tram lines by an inch.
Well, she's been making a lot of those shots with that forehand down the line, and that shows the tension, because she just got a little bit tucked up on it, got a bit close into the body, couldn't quite find the gap. Still having to work hard to hold on to her service game here.
4 games to 3, Świątek leads, and it's now deuce. It's a good match, enjoying this. 36 minutes old. Body serve Świątek, comes in, hits a backhand. Chance for the lob for Pegula. Smash from Świątek. Another big forehand by Pegula. She's driven her opponent back to the baseline now. Great hitting from the American. Cross court she goes though, and overcooks that one. And that's where she sometimes comes unstuck, because she doesn't really seem to have the option of kind of rolling over the top of a ball just to make sure it stays in.
Yep. And she slapped her leg 3 times, and that's the leg, I think, that was strapped that she just smacked, and that was almost an indication of move your feet, get into position, and you should have made that ball. She's absolutely fuming with herself.
Point for 5-3 for Świątek, who hits her backhand cross court. It's a little short, really big booming backhand from Pegula, who goes cross court now with her forehand, then cross court again. Oh, that's fabulous tennis from the American.
It just sounds so good out of the strings, doesn't it? It's like a big thud. Heavy strikes, waiting for the right shot, and then just gets her body weight behind it, lines it up. And it looks so easy. Nice natural timing.
That's the ball bouncing of Iga Świątek, far end of the court. 4-3, deuce, but no 6-love first set today. 16 times she's registered a 6-love set so far this year. That's up with Steffi Graf pace.
There's a child crying in the audience here.
Oh, and unfortunate again is Pegula, as she hits a forehand return that hits the tape, and it kind of catapults at a right angle right along the net, and it looked for a second as if it might dribble over, but instead it came back her own side.
Yes, it was tantalisingly close, wasn't it?
She does look as if she's a bit fed up of everything going against her here.
Really filled up, hasn't it, since the start of the match? A lot of people in bright sunshine.
Forehand cracked return by Pegula. Now she cracks the racket down into the ground. 5-3, Świątek leads.
Yeah, just occasionally the ball leaves the strings quickly, doesn't it? As you said, David, sometimes it just doesn't have quite enough rotation or adaptability to what's coming at her. But I mean, it's certainly effective most of the time, but that's where I think Świątek just has that ability to make those adjustments and absorb pace and send it back. There's a bit more height on it.
Big forehand hit cross court by Pegula at this near end of the court, just trying to make Świątek serve for it at the moment as Świątek hits the net. You mentioned the ball ring court earlier on.
I loved that court.
Annabelle. Now, I've never been here before, so I never got to sample the ball ring. Why did you like it so much?
Oh, it was just such an intimate court. It was kind of circular and very steep, but very intimate. And there were always such wonderful matches out there, and it had such a unique atmosphere. I'm really sad that they got rid of that court. You know, I think that was one of the best courts here at Roland Garros. So I don't know the reasons why it was chosen, because it had so much history, that court.
I mean, they've sort of created some more space as a result. There's now, I believe there's now a public area where you can watch on a big screen, a little bit like Henman Hill kind of vibe, or Garden Square in Melbourne, but
it did look like a bull ring. You know, it was literally very sort of almost like a coliseum in there. It had a really unique atmosphere.
It's a shame I didn't get a chance to see that one, but still, I'm hugely impressed with Roland Garros. So much of the renovations they've done are really beautiful, and it's a lovely place to spend some time if ever you get a chance to come to this Grand Slam tournament.
Yes. Bring your glad rags. It's a glamorous event, isn't it?
You don't feel overdressed here if you go for it, and people are proper stylish.
Yeah, they are. A lot of hats. In fact, they've got all these sort of hats on sale in all the kiosks, haven't they? And it seems to be a part of the atmosphere here.
In comes Świątek, and she just pats the ball away after that rasping return on the forehand side. This is 30-all now, and she's 2 points away from the opening set.
Yeah, they're sort of straw hats, aren't they, with sort of different coloured ribbons around them, and they sell them all around. But, you know, a lot of people in the audience just wearing the hats.
Here's a forehand hit down the line by the Pegula forehand. Now she'll hit the backhand down the line. Lovely hitting from her, scooped back by Świątek, but into the net. So 40-30, the American's still doing a job, and she needs one more point to make her opponent serve for this.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she slammed her racket down at the end of that game when she's normally so composed, I mean, she's a little wound up at the moment, and she's channeling it into the tennis and certainly into that backhand down the line. Really uses her legs so well on her ground strokes.
(40-30). Pegula serves, trying to make Świątek serve for it, but she's netted a backhand, and she's now showing herself what she'd done wrong there, which was sort of lean as she hit the ball, maybe a bit cramped up.
Yeah, she turned the racket face over in the swing too early, so instead of brushing up the back of the ball, she was indicating to herself that the racket face had turned downwards. The thing is, she does not have much time to think or react. It's coming back at her pretty deep.
Yeah.
Fast, furious, up-tempo tennis, this, isn't it?
It sure is. And we've still got more tennis to come for you here on 5 Sports Extra, with Marin Cilic against Andrei Rublev after this one. And then in the evening session, we've got Holger Rune against Casper Ruud, an all-Nordic clash. The Dane against the Norwegian. This is set point for Iga Świątek, because Pegula's gone along with her backhand. Now she's netted a serve. Ball girl in a orange shirt comes out, takes her position, getting the ball very neatly. The ball just brushes the net as it goes on by from Pegula, and Świątek's eyes will widen here. She's got set point finally after 43 minutes. Hits her backhand cross court, but too long. That's surprising.
That was really surprising, and she really didn't get hold of that ball at all. It just sailed, you know, ballooning over the baseline, almost as if she was trying to move back to the central point in the court before finishing the swing on it.
Backhand hit down the centre by Świątek, and a forehand netted by Pegula, so another opportunity here for the Pole.
Yeah, same thing for Pegula there. She pulled off that shot, pulled herself back to the central mark. Really fed up after that one. Oh, she's a bit irritated as she's asking the umpire because she's been made to wait several times in this match.
Yeah. I do think, I mean, you are supposed to play to the pace of the server, aren't you? And Pegula has been made to wait quite often in this match when she's serving. Advantage to her opponent, set point for a second time. Back and return makes the court this time from Świątek. Now down the line, forehand hit down the line, but into the tram lines by Pegula. There is the set. 44 minutes on the clock. Pegula did such a good job to stay with her. And she's having a little chat with the umpire here. I wonder whether she is going to mention the time being taken at all. Yeah, she is. She's really not happy, and she's carrying on this conversation.
She's definitely not happy, and she said, look, it's happened about 5 times, which it has, and she's been ready to serve, and Świątek has either gone to the towel, that time on set point sort of had something in her eye. Who knows whether that actually was the case, I don't know, but one thing for sure is that she's not happy about being made to wait to serve.
And
still
no doubt
discussing it, actually.
Yeah. Well, umpire's saying she has to take the towel, and she's saying, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I do think it's too much, personally. I think that she's holding her up too many times, and I do also think that Jessica Pegula might have something to say when she sees the point that broke her own serve, in which her opponent hit a double bounced forehand. Anyway, 6-3 first set to Iga Świątek, and for Jessica Pegula this is new ground. Her first French Open quarter-final. Let's hear her now on her opponent, Iga Świątek.
She's kind of hit another level than all of us right now. And yeah, it's a little scary. I think her athleticism is very off the charts. I think her defense is really, really, really good. Kind of similar to like an Ash Barty, where they have offense and defense. They can get in the corners, dig out the points, play really good defense, and then also take the racket out of your hand sometimes. So yeah, I think that's just something that I think her athleticism and defensive skills are really, really good. And then I think she's gotten much more offensive this year, been more aggressive when she's needed to be. And I think she's winning matches maybe much quicker, whereas maybe the other years, besides obviously when she won the French Open, no big deal. But on the hard courts, you know, she's playing shorter points, and I think that's helped her a lot. And I mean, clay, she's been comfortable on clay for a while, so not too much of a surprise. But I think just her athleticism and obviously now her focus, I don't know how she does it, but the way she stays focused throughout these matches is pretty incredible. I'm not sure what she's doing, but yeah, she's definitely a step above us all right now.
And she's a step above Jessica Pegula in the match so far as well, but only half a step. 6-3 first set. It's felt closer than that. Here's the second set with Russell Fuller.
And it's bubbling nicely, this. On this occasion, the delay is not caused by Iga Świątek, but by some spectators very casually walking up the stairs to take their place.
Yeah, they need to get a move on.
They are in no hurry whatsoever. Utterly oblivious, I think, to the fact that they are holding Iga Świątek up because she was serving towards that corner of the court, and it was very much in her line of sight. She's won the first point of this second set, so has 15 love. Her backhand cross-court. Pegula cross-court with the backhand. Backhand down the line from Pegula. Świątek's forehand is into the tape. And the first 2 points of this second set have been shared.
Świątek just looked down at the clay surface there, and because they've come and freshly swept it, it sort of looks a little bit more powdery and slippery, actually, doesn't it? And she almost sort of scuffed the mark there where she lost a bit of balance trying to line up for that last shot, which netted.
15 all, faster conditions today with the sun beating down on the Chatrier court, and a fair bit warmer too. 22, maybe 23 degrees Celsius. This is around about the hottest time of the day. Lovely day in which to play tennis. Second serve from Świątek, and Pegula not able to make that backhand return. She's hit that long, so Świątek to 30-15, having won 47 of her last 49 sets on tour. 5 consecutive titles. and 32 consecutive wins. She is fresh and natural, according to Rafa Nadal.
That's an interesting description.
Isn't it?
Fresh and natural.
Fresh and natural. I suppose new and instinctive,
Yeah.
perhaps is what he meant. And maybe he was talking about her personality more than her game style. That's a really nice off forehand from Świątek, and Pegula cannot make the return, and she moves to 40-15.
That was a beautiful strike into the open space and lined it up. Just nailing that, and you just feel that now with that first set under her belt, she might just kind of calm down just a touch and just feel a little bit freer in how she's going to play, because I think there was quite a bit of tension going through her body. She was made to work pretty hard for that first set. I don't think Pegula realises how well she played in it. She looks a little tiny bit negative with the body language.
40-15, another good serve here from Świątek, and that backhand return is long on the defensive from Pegula, and Świątek holds to 15 and takes the opening game of the second set. Rafa could have said she is a fresh and natural human person,
yes,
which is one of his little expressions, and I am not mocking him for a second, because his English is substantially better than my very, very broken Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. I find it amazing all these players speak so many languages and also articulate so well and use such great vocabulary when they do all their interviews. So definitely, yeah, it's difficult to criticise, isn't it? It's just a really interesting description.
An avid reader, Iga Świątek, as we have been discussing in the past, and she's been telling our colleague Jonathan Ureko, who's doing a column with her after every match for the BBC Sport website. I meant to look what the 21 lessons for the 21st century are. One of the books she has read recently. That's just wide with the backhand from Pegula. Also been reading Murder on the Orient Express, and currently devouring the Three Musketeers. Just wide, confirmed by our umpire, Emmanuel Joseph. And I just feel Pegula needs something to happen here. It's not a serious situation for her at the moment. She's only lost the opening game of the second set. But it feels a little bit flat in here for the moment. And what can she do to really try and get under Świątek's skin again? Second serve onto the backhand of Świątek. Backhand from Pegula to the backhand of Świątek. Świątek squatting down to play that backhand, and now hits a forehand. A backhand down the centre. Pegula with the forehand to the backhand of Świątek. Hit cross court with a little bit of air. Now she'll step inside the baseline and hit the off forehand, but it's a very solid and sweetly timed backhand by Pegula, who's now slicing her forehand, and that's wide from Świątek as she goes down the line, and that was a really well played point. She just lived with the world number one all the way and eventually forced Świątek to go for a little bit too much.
Yeah, that was a great point again, wasn't it? And just moving the ball again, open spaces, keeping the ball redirected into the other corner, and just a couple of times she's missed that forehand up the line. Goes so close to it all the time, doesn't she? She doesn't give herself much margin down there.
$15 Pegula with a second serve, an attacking backhand reply from Świątek, who's now got a very short ball, and she can pretty much put that where she wants to. It's an off forehand winner, and she moves to 15-30 on the American serve. The American who I remember speaking to at the Australian Open when she had that run to the quarterfinals for the second time, and she'd been spending a bit of spare time and loose change at the casino in Melbourne. A distraction to take her mind off the tennis, she said. Backhand into the net from Świątek. Mind you, she could afford to put an NFL club and an NHL franchise on the table, couldn't she?
Did she win anything when she was there?
I don't think she won a great deal, no. But it was just a way of occupying the mind and passing the time. Suggested she wasn't playing for high stakes, but then again, her high stakes probably vary from our high stakes. 30-all.
Gosh, that net cord that she just hit, it actually
Springy.
bounced over the baseline. I've never seen that.
They have been very springy. It's the trampoline effect from these net cords at Roland Garros this fortnight. Nice backhand just inside the sideline from Pegula. Nice change of direction. And she is hanging in there. Serves to the forehand of Świątek, but just misses that first serve. She had a win over one-seeded player, Tamara Zidansek, who had such a great run here last year in straight sets in the third round. Pegula, she's on the defence here. Świątek hits this forehand long, aiming straight back at the American, overdoing it. And Pegula's just chipping away at the moment, isn't she? She's just staying in touch with Świątek. She has lost the first set by 6-3, but it's now 1 game all in the second.
Yeah, that game early on was looking like Świątek was going to go for the early break, and then that missed forehand, it sort of turned that game around. And as you say, she's just lingering around here. She wants to keep the scoreline tight, as she did in that first set. And let's see how the errors go with Świątek. She's just testing out the ball toss here. She's looking up into that bright sky. Maybe a chance for Pegula to try and get the break herself if it's going to be tricky for serving down that end.
Forehand reply from Pegula. She's really going after that one. The backhand from her to the backhand of Świątek, and that's long. And she can get a little bit hot under the collar, as we all can, when things don't go quite to plan. Get a bit frustrated with herself.
It's definitely speeding up out here since the start of the match. It's just got a lot more lively, fiery conditions. Heating up, not just in terms of the sun, but also the tennis and the way they're hitting the ball.
Nice time to play. Love 15 down. Świątek misses her first serve there. Not been beaten since February the 16th by Jelena Ostapenko in a third set tiebreak in the second match she played in Dubai. It's now June. It's an awful long time ago. Down the line, just wide from Pegula, and you can see the disappointment on her face and in her body language. Her shoulders slumped there. A chance to have love 30 on the world #1 serve.
Oh, that was such a great opportunity, wasn't it? You have to give her credit for going after that ball. Worth being brave. And Pegula looks a little irritated that Świątek's now tying the shoelaces, keeping her waiting even on return of serve. She definitely wants a quicker pace match. Świątek doing a good job of just playing it at her pace.
15 all. She's learning all the tricks of the trade, isn't she?
I think so.
$15 all. Świątek now with a second serve. A bit of breeze in Paris, in the southwestern corner of Paris today. Backhand from Pegula, backhand from Świątek, who slightly loses her balance, but she's got plenty of time to get back on her feet. Slice backhand to the back of the court by Pegula. The backhand from Świątek is short. Pegula hits through the forehand. Świątek with more power on her forehand. It's a baseline rally. Now a bit of width as Świątek has to return on the backhand. The mid-court ball from Pegula, and Świątek has missed another one long, going down the line with the backhand and fluffing a few of her lines in the early stages of this second set.
Oh, she's shouting. That's the first time we've really seen her explode a bit down the other end. Again, it's just an indication of the stress that she's feeling, even though she's a set up and it's only 1 all. A perfectionist, as so often these top players are. Not happy with herself missing that backhand. And it was coming off those slices. It's throwing in a few more slices, Pegula.
She's 15-30 down. That's a fabulous serve by Świątek, right onto the back of the service line, and with a decent amount of pace as well. 30 all. It's 2 minutes shy of an hour they've been playing, and the winner will play Daria Kasatkina, the 20th seed, who's beaten Veronika Kudermetova 6-4, 7-6 on her 5th match point, having been 6-1 up in the tiebreak. She won't want to watch that tiebreak back again, even though she won it. She was very tight, very nervous. First Grand Slam semi-final for her, though. Forehand reply, long from Pegula, and Świątek to 40-30.
Oh, that's a very wasted shot. What a shame, wasn't it? Because she's had such intensity about what she's done. She's just bouncing her racket there. I don't think she can believe she's just ballooned that return over the baseline. And that really left the strings very, very quickly. And she was knocking on the door early on in this game.
Backhand reply from Pegula. Świątek goes cross-court with the backhand. Pegula hitting it to the backhand again of Świątek. Cross-court she's going, and that is into the net. Świątek going for the backhand, and she's looking like she's a little impatient at the moment, Iga Świątek.
Yeah, and she's just annoyed, isn't she? Every time she misses these shots at the back of the court, the unforced errors, it doesn't seem to be any real reason for them. She's just not used to it. I think she's used to very high standards, perfection on the court. It's all been going her way in these 5 events that she's won back to back. And things just getting a little bit more edgy in this Grand Slam.
Quarter-final stage. The winner will be back tomorrow because both women's semi-finals will take place tomorrow. Juice on the Świątek serve. Another one that catches the tape and lands just inside the baseline. So a second serve for Świątek. Pegula wearing a white visor, white top, black skirt, hits a forehand return, long. Oh, Jessie.
Well, it was almost inviting to be hit long, that, because it's second serve, not much pace on it. It was a little bit edgy, wasn't it? And again, because the pace of everything is so lively out here and the trajectory that she hits at, if she doesn't really commit to it, as she didn't there, the ball just takes off.
So advantage Świątek and a forehand winner from Pegula. That was beautifully struck. Just inside the baseline.
Yeah, almost slashed at that last forehand. Took the pace of the first serve and it was kind of straight into the strike zone. She didn't have to move her feet too much for that one and leant in on it. Very good at getting body weight behind the ball.
Great hitting from the American. It's a forehand now to the backhand of Świątek. Pegula with a forehand down the line. Świątek cross-court with a forehand. Pegula cross-court with a forehand. A forehand cross-court right onto the baseline from Pegula. Heavy hitting in return by Świątek, who's now really going for broke from the back of the court. Her forehand down the line. Pegula with the slice backhand. Świątek will hit the backhand cross-court with a nice tight angle. Backhand with slice this time from Pegula, who is slicing a backhand onto the sideline. Another slice backhand from the American. He'll hit a forehand cross-court. Świątek with a forehand. Pegula with a forehand push down the line. Down the line on the backhand goes Świątek. And what a winner on the forehand from Pegula! The longest rally of the second set at least has brought this game to life. And an opportunity now for the American.
Well, that was a mental blow for Świątek, not used to coming out second best on a rally like that. Wow, that was absolutely fantastic from Pegula. She hung in there, she stayed with her with the pace, and out hitting her at the end. It's normally applause for Świątek at the end of a long point like that. And she was doubled over, wasn't she? I think it was quite a physical point, Świątek. She really took some time to get her breath back.
Pegula has the break point. It's a backhand return from her and it's wide.
Clever, clever tactics. Just took all the pace out of that serve. 157 kilometres an hour, but high kicker. Just a total change up of tactics. I think Pegula expecting a flatter trajectory to try and use it. And that was smart tennis.
Juice. Świątek to the backhand of Pegula. It's a high defensive return and that was an easy put away for Świątek. Backhand down the line. She now has the game point. Against the 28-year-old Pegula, who's from Boca Raton, I believe is how the Americans say it.
That's a good American accent there. Nice place.
I've never been. Tell us more in just a moment as this forehand goes long and Świątek saves the break point and holds for 2-1. But again, Pegula just showing that she is a difficult opponent to shake off your tail. So what are your experiences of Boca Raton?
Just sunny, lots of positivity, a lot of tennis, a lot of sport. You know, healthy place really. Yeah, just nice. I think there's a lot of tennis down there. Used to be a lot of tournaments when I was on the tour that were around that area, or a lot of training. You know, people like to train in those conditions, hot, humid, sunshine. Yeah, very sporty conditions.
If you were going to live in the United States, Annabelle, which part of the States would you choose?
I would go West Coast, actually. I really like the West Coast, but it was a few years ago now, but I did drive that Highway 101 or whatever it's called, and playing Eagles Hotel California all the way, but did that whole coastline, and it was honestly spectacular, and it made me think that there's a lot more beauty to America than actually perhaps we think of, because we think of it as just, you know, big highways and shopping malls and fast food and what have you, but it was really stunning. And so I stopped all the way along the way and stayed different places, and then actually ended up San Francisco, which was absolutely beautiful. I'm sure you know it well, but
not well, but I've
stunning.
done a couple of golf major championships.
Yeah, it was
there.
really stunning. But I'd quite like to go back. There's never enough time, is there? I'd like to do the Grand Canyon, actually. I've never done that. I've never driven. I'd like to sort of, I feel like going camping along, I don't know, that route. And I've never done Las Vegas, actually, which is totally the opposite. But I think you've got to do it once, haven't you? I'd like to go to one of the illusion shows there.
Yes, I think it's probably one of those experiences that if you're able to and you can afford it, then you should probably do. But as you say, there's a long list of places personally I'd probably rather go to.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to keep your bucket list at reasonable length, haven't you? Realistic length. 2-1 and love 15 down now, Pegula.
Just very quickly, where would you go?
If I was going to, it wouldn't be a country I would choose to live in, but if I was going to live in the States, then yeah, I think I'd go West Coast as well.
Yeah.
I don't know it well enough, but maybe the San Francisco area. I mean, I do find the pull of Manhattan quite irresistible when the US Open is around, but whether I'd want to live in the New York area all the time, I'm not sure. Backhand reply, cross-court from Świątek. Backhand cross-court again, the slice backhand from Pegula. The backhand is long from Świątek, coming in behind that and missing, so it's 15 all. Our friend and colleague Gigi Salmon, I think, talks about retiring to Indian Wells because of her experiences covering the tournament there a couple of times.
I could almost do that. it's one of my most favourite places in the whole world.
It's a bit repetitive and a bit dull, I think, after a while.
Yeah, possibly.
Personally, but it's beautiful, and the climate for much of the year is stunning. It's just a little bit too hot in the summer as that backhand is hit by Pegula and the forehand is missed by Świątek.
It's interesting watching Pegula just throwing in way more slice backhands. I mean, she's just throwing in the junk, and I think it is having an impact, actually. She's getting a few more unforced errors from Świątek, so she's still not completely in control of this match.
Forehand reply from Świątek. This time Pegula goes for a bit more weight on the forehand, but she hooked that one wide. And she's under a little bit of pressure here at 30 all on her serve.
Yeah, my only criticism of Pegula in this match is that she just looks a bit negative in the body language. I'm sure she's disappointed with how this is panning out, or she's disappointed with herself, but she's definitely got quite negative on herself.
She's not giving the crowd much to feed off.
No.
I think she would benefit from a bit more support. It is a little bit flat.
Yeah, it is.
At the moment in this quarter-final. The backhand from Pegula hits the tape. Świątek will have plenty of time to run this down, but she's knocked it straight back at the American, who hits a disappointing lob. And that is smashed away by Świątek, who has a break point for a 3-1 lead.
She was quick off the mark there. As soon as she saw that was a let cord, she'd almost already taken off. And as you said, it's really sort of springboard let cords on this court today. And that helped her get up to that really quickly. Danger moment here for Pegula. Second serve to come.
So the first serve into the net, the second serve is onto the backhand of Świątek. That's hit cross-court on the backhand. The backhand from Pegula, Świątek hits the forehand down the centre. Forehand from Pegula, Świątek slides into the backhand, slice backhand into the middle of the court by Pegula. Her backhand is on the backhand of Świątek. That's flattened out and hit down the line by the world number one, who's now missed the forehand. And she's now waving her arms around in frustration. But again, she went for a lot with that forehand cross-court. She has the beating of Pegula here, but she's still trying to be aggressive and not always able to do so, given the replies from the woman at the other end of the court. Backhand reply from Świątek. Her backhand is pushed to the forehand of Pegula. Backhand Świątek. Pegula slices that backhand into the net. Second break point of the game.
That particular backhand from Świątek, it looks kind of like a shovel shot, doesn't it? The way she takes the racket back, she sort of hunches up her shoulders. The two arms get very close and very bent into her body. And yet what happens when that racket hits the strings, hit the ball, is so effective. She leans in on it, no hesitation.
Slight delay again here as Świątek goes towards the towel. Pegula's missed her first serve. She's break point down for a second time. Backhand return is a winner from Świątek down the line, and she does have the break now in the second set. She leads by 6-3 and 3-1, so 3 games away from a semi-final against Daria Kasatkina tomorrow afternoon.
Well, it felt like only a matter of time, didn't it? And that previous game, which was, I think, over 8 minutes, which was the real key for Świątek to get ahead. And surely now she's homing in towards the finish line. I know we're only halfway through, potentially, of this second set, but she's definitely wrestled control.
And it's still Zheng Xinwen, the young Chinese, who's given most opposition to Iga Świątek in this French Open so far, and on the WTA Tour in recent weeks. That was a spellbinding effort from the teenager, playing in her first French Open. The slice backhand from Pegula, the backhand from Świątek, who's now hitting a forehand which had hit the baseline. Slice forehand from Pegula, that is wide, and that is certainly unorthodox, and it didn't work this time.
No, it's good to see her trying something different, though, isn't it? I guess if you've been sort of going toe-to-toe from the back of the court, yes, she's had some sort of impact, but she's losing the match. Then at this stage, when the scoreline is just going away from you so quickly, you know, you need to try something different just to shift that momentum.
6-3, 3-1, 15-love. Annabelle Croft with us here on Sports Extra. We're on the BBC Sounds app. Our nighttime commentary is Ruud against Un, Norway against Denmark. And that will be on Sports Extra from 7:45. And we still have Andrei Rublev against Marin Cilic to come for a place in the men's semi-finals on Friday afternoon. Second serve here from Świątek onto the forehand of Pegula. The forehand from Świątek cross-court. Pegula's really reaching for this and just steering that forehand long.
Well, she apologised down to Pegula. Not sure what that was about. But anyhow, getting the point. And this is really heading in one direction. Pegula's got to pull something out of the bag here to stop this.
Love. Backhand from Pegula. Świątek's forehand, cross-court. Pegula on the defence. Świątek cross-court with the forehand.
It's the relentless pressure that Świątek produces on court, isn't it? It's the depth and the potency into the corners, and you know, Pegula just wasn't able to defend with depth, and that's one thing that I have noticed with Świątek. When Pegula has got Świątek into deep corners, she does get the ball back with a lot of depth on it, and repositions and resets the point. So she's starting to flow a bit better now, I think.
3-1, 40-love, ace. Lovely serve from Świątek. 4-1. It feels like hard work for Świątek, but I think that's only because of the way she's played in recent months. It's not supposed to be easy, is it, in a quarter-final of Roland Garros against the 11th seed and a player who's already been in a quarter-final of a slam this year. But she has such high standards of herself, and some of the matches we've seen her play just been jaw-droppingly good. And it's not always going to be straightforward. No,
and I think actually when we hear her talking in press conferences, she's so articulate and incredibly understanding of herself, and I think she's actually even talked about that's where her psychologist Daria has helped her, that she's a smart lady and that she's really given her a lot of tools to be able to understand her thought processes out on the court. But she's incredibly mature for somebody as young as she is. What is she, 21? She was yesterday, wasn't she? You know, and I think she's got an ability to sort of figure things out. I mean, she's got a little bit flustered in this match, but not really. And when you look at the overall score and picture, 6-3, 4-1. 4 games on the clock from Pegula in however long they've been out on court. An hour and 44 minutes, I think it is. But, you know, I guess that's why Pegula feels like she's not really doing that well. I mean, that's not a lot of games, is it? Sorry, an hour and 14, not an hour and 44.
Yeah, what is interesting is how a lot of players are probably already getting to the stage against Iga Świątek, at least on this particular court at this particular tournament. They're thinking, I'm not really sure I can beat her. And that happens very, very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's won 32 matches in a row, but it's not as if she's got years of domination under her belt. But I'm absolutely with you on Pegula's body language. She doesn't really look like a player who particularly is giving the impression she can win this match. Once again, we're having a little meeting. Oh, it's lovely to see you. A little chat in the gangways, in the eye line of our server, Jessica Pegula. Backhand reply from Świątek. That's a good forehand down the line from Pegula. She will take this out of the air. The drive volley cross court is a winner. And that's where Zheng Xinwen was different, because she didn't really know who Iga Świątek was. She didn't know who Barbora Krejcikova was, the champion the previous year. She just played the opponent, didn't she? She wasn't playing a reputation. Which is quite rare, because some players may not watch a lot of tennis, but most are pretty aware what their opponents are up to and who's been winning what and where. 15 love Pegula. Missed first serve. And Daniil Medvedev was saying earlier in the fortnight how he would always, as that's a double fault from Pegula, have the television on in the big screen in the hotel room for background to keep tabs on how the tennis was going, but he'd be watching something, he suggested, more interesting, maybe on Netflix on his laptop, but he liked to have it as background. Forehand reply from Świątek. Pegula with a forehand cross-court, lovely disguise. A winner. Świątek could only stand and admire that particular shot. .30-15 Pegula. Forehand from Świątek is just a little bit too long. Pegula's got doubles to play later on. She'll be out on the Simon Mathieu court with Coco Gauff. They're the 8 seeds. They're playing Anna Bondar of Hungary and Griet Minnen of Belgium in the quarter-finals.
Oh, that's a wonderful serve.
It's an ace, although Świątek's not so sure. Still not so sure. It was good.
I thought it was actually inside the line, the way she swung that ball out wide.
Pegula holds to 15, so 4-2, Świątek leads. That's a partnership that's developed over the course of the year. We associate Coco Gauff playing with Katie McNally, but she was struggling, McNally, to get into a few tournaments this year that Coco Gauff was at, so Gauff and Pegula started to play together, won the title in Doha, and I think they've got an eye on the year-end championships. They're currently 9th in the race, just one place outside the top 8 qualifiers, but a long, long way to go, and that doesn't include the points from reaching at least the quarterfinals of this French Open. Long with a forehand from Pegula.
Just missing a few too many returns of serve, and it's allowing Świątek to get sort of 3 points on the board, alleviate some of that pressure, doesn't it? Just seems like that ball's leaving her strings too quickly. There's not enough shape on it. I guess she just doesn't have time to think. That ball's coming down at her quite fast if it's a first serve.
Backhand reply from Pegula. Forehand from Świątek. Pegula with a forehand cross-court. That's long from Świątek as she tries to go down the line. I suppose you can't be somebody you're not. You can't pretend to be somebody you're not, but I'm not asking Jessica Pegula to do a Danielle Collins and start letting out blood-curdling screams after every point, but I just, I don't know.
No, is she playing with sort of no personality out here?
No emotion. Something I would have thought to get herself going. It's just the one break of serve at the moment.
I think it's just her style, isn't it? She doesn't like all the attention. She quite likes to play under the radar and not you know, surrounded by lots of press and PR. She just sort of gets on with it, really. I don't think she particularly wants it.
4-2, 15 all. Świątek cross court with the backhand. Pegula with the backhand. The backhand of Świątek, and that is wide.
Well, just muttering you can hear. Things were looking a lot more comfortable at 4-1, and suddenly down 15-30 in this game. More to think about. Doesn't want to let Pegula back into this match. Needs to keep on pressuring, keep that foot on the accelerator.
$15-30 down. Świątek misses her first serve. Can Pegula get back on serve here in this quarter-final? Live from the Philippe Chatrier court at Roland Garros. Pegula's heels are on the baseline as Świątek serves to her backhand, and it's long from Pegula, the reply.
Just another one, isn't it?
And now she's showing a bit of emotion in that she's squatting down, and we can read that body language, we can feel her pain. It's 30 all.
But you know, going back to that discussion we had earlier about, you know, the men's and the women's game, you know, when you get these big personalities, they bring that personality to the court, don't they? And then you kind of you know, you start to cheer for your gladiator, as it were.
Forehand from Jessica Pegula, the forehand cross-court from Iga Świątek. Here's the forehand from Świątek. It's down the line, it's a winner. She moves to 40-30. Yeah, I have to agree. If you couldn't have scheduled a women's match at night tonight because they've got to play their semi-finals tomorrow afternoon. But from what we've witnessed, Kudermetova against Kasatkina and this match so far would not have thrilled a night session audience.
No, and I'm beginning to think, and I guess it's to be debated more. I think it was a good debate earlier, but I feel like it's more personality driven than it is about just sticking them on stage. It's what personality you bring to that stage.
Backhand cross-court from Pegula, trying to stay in this game. Świątek with a point for a 5-2 lead, and she's got it. And now Pegula is dropping her racket in exasperation at herself because Świątek does lead by 5 games to 2. But you look at the night session that has been chosen, and you've got Casper Ruud against Holger Rune, and it's easy to sell that as two up-and-coming, exciting Scandinavian players. But this is why I think there are double standards, because tournament directors all over the world are much happy to promote a match like that because they think they're on safe ground, rather than being a bit more ambitious and throwing a women's match on at night.
I would have possibly picked that Rublev-Cilic match as the night match, because Rublev is a passionate, fiery player who brings a big personality out onto the court. Cilic, well, he's playing some fantastic tennis. People might remember him winning US Open and, of course, finals of Wimbledon, so he's achieved a lot in the game. So I probably, out of all of that, I would have maybe put him on. But as you say, Ruud and Rune, the future stars of the game. But, I mean, I would not want that job of trying to pick who to put out there, because whatever you do, you're not going to please everybody. There's always going to be somebody who's unhappy.
I just earlier tweeted some Amelie Mauresmo's comments, and I've deliberately not offered an opinion on Twitter just to see what sort of responses that we've had from people. Zelina, I'm female and I much prefer watching men's matches. DG says, I watch a lot of women's tennis. You can't describe on skill, speed, etc. women superior to men. And in terms of attraction, if it was a Halep Azarenka or an Osaka Świątek matchup, maybe you'd consider it. That doesn't happen when the top-ranked and big names lose early. Laura, you won't make the stars if you never let the public see these people highlighted and celebrated. A terrible attempt at justification by Amelie Mauresmo. John O'Leary, though, says she's right. The men's game is far better. More people want to watch it. Fact. Look at the crowds for men's and women's matches. Do people want Amelie Mauresmo to lie? Even women prefer watching the men's game, he says.
Yeah, it's quite split, really, I guess, isn't it? Maybe a couple more in favour there, actually.
2-5, 2-5 down, Pegula. 15 love and now 30 love as Świątek. Sorry, 15 all as Pegula blazes wide. I was also looking down at something else that DG was saying about anybody who spends 60 minutes on the metro commuting to the match does not want to watch a match that's over in under 40 minutes. Arsenal in N4. Sadly, the women's matches are not as popular. She's made the right decision, in my opinion. But 17th and Vane says, I guess making change is harder when misogyny is deeply embedded. Women are influenced by this also. 2-5. This could be the final game of the match, so I better put my phone down.
Yes.
I've had enough social media for the moment. It's 15:30 on the Jessica Pegula serve.
Yeah, it was a really big return of serve from Świątek. Really hungry to go after the win now. She's got a second serve to look at, and that's another of those let calls that's just gone over the baseline. 2 of them.
Second serve from Pegula. Backhand from Świątek, just caressed up the line, as easy as you like. A lovely looking shot. And these are 2 match points for the world number 1 to return to the Roland Garros semi-finals. Pegula serves. The backhand from Świątek is into the net.
The crowd have got a little bit more animated at this stage of the match, haven't they? They've been very quiet. It feels like they've just been going through the motions, the crowd. Sort of taking it all in their stride. They're not really engaged with this match, are they?
Nope, not at all.
No atmosphere. It's a bit flat.
It's match point number 2 for the world number 1, but she's going to have to wait a little bit longer if she is going to close out this quarter-final, because that was an ace. Down the tee, bold serving, under pressure, and Jessie Pegula breathes again. Onto the service line with that first serve, Pegula. Good deep reply by Świątek, whose forehand is cross-court. Lots of air on this forehand from Pegula, and it's worked because Świątek is once again pointing towards her box in frustration as she nets the forehand.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a sarcastic thumbs up, actually. It was strange reaction, that.
It was. Channeling her inner Andy Murray. Forehand from Pegula, backhand from Świątek. Pegula with the forehand to the backhand of Świątek. Backhand from Pegula onto Świątek's backhand. That's hit down the line. Cross-court with the forehand goes Pegula. On the run, hits another forehand deep. The backhand from Świątek on the defence. The drop shot from Pegula. Świątek down the line. The backhand finishes the point. And at deuce, she's 2 points away once again from the semi-finals.
Another great point from Świątek, just having to go from defence into attack. Pegula going to the drop shot once again, and the footwork skills, the movement transitioning up the court. She just takes such great care and discipline with her feet behind that ball.
Another good deep serve by Pegula. Cross-court she goes with the forehand. She's got a mid-court ball, but she's hit a backhand into the net, and this is a third match point for the seemingly unstoppable Iga Świątek. A match point to return to this court, the Philippe Chatrier court, tomorrow afternoon to play a semi-final of the French Open against Daria Kasatkina. It's her advantage, it's her match point. And Jessie Pegula, the 11th seed, the 28-year-old from the United States, puts her first serve into the net. An hour and 27 minutes on the clock. Second serve, backhand from Świątek. Backhand from Pegula is mishit, but lands in. Forehand Pegula. Świątek with the forehand. Pegula with the forehand down the line. Świątek with the backhand. Pegula hits the backhand cross-court and hard. Another big hard backhand from Pegula. Stepping it up when match point down, and an off forehand saves the day.
Gosh, one of those balls must have surely hit the baseline, and Świątek having to absorb it all, played with an open stance, just trying to defend, but that was almost one of the best points she's played. Pegula leaning in on the backhand and finally finishing with the forehand wrong footer.
Where has that been?
Yeah.
I was thinking. Really went after it there, Pegula, who will serve now, and again she's hit a very deep serve, backhand Świątek cross-court and wide. And Pegula now with a game point to force Świątek to serve for a place in the semi-final. The towels and blankets and ski jackets of last night have been abandoned. People no need to keep themselves warm today. Warm sunshine, into the net goes Pegula with the forehand.
Well, just indicating, pointing both arms forwards there with a gesture of it, as if to say, I need to be moving forward, which she does, because when she's played her best tennis, she has had that weight transference going forward into the court.
It's deuce again. It's 2-5. Is this Pegula's last stand? Second serve. Backhand Świątek down the line. Pegula reaching for this backhand. A forehand cross-court by Świątek. Lovely point. Ruthlessly dispatched. Match point number 4.
Well, terrific strikes and big blows from Świątek, and could have gone either way with that last shot, and Pegula couldn't read it. I think she thought it was going to a backhand. Well disguised.
So a 4th match point to win the quarterfinal for the world number 1. Pegula hits the backhand to the Świątek backhand. Backhand from Pegula. Świątek's backhand down the centre. She'll have another backhand here, Świątek, on her 4th match point. Backhand down the line to win the match, to win the quarterfinal from Iga Świątek, and to set up a semi-final meeting with Daria Kasatkina on the back of 33 straight wins. Another one in straight sets. 48 of her last 50 sets have been won. They're numbers that the rest of the tour are just unable to deal with so far. Kasatkina will have her attempt tomorrow, but that was a fairly comfortable victory in the end for Iga Świątek. Winning the match 6-3, 6-2, and the 2020 champion is a Roland Garros semi-finalist once again, Annabel Croft.
Yeah, I mean, it looked on paper fairly straightforward. It felt a little bit closer than that scoreline said, 6-3, 6-2, but a lot to admire in her game, but also a few little areas where she was a little bit loose. As you said, though, Russell, quarterfinals should be tough, and she had some difficult moments, which I thought she handled very well, mentally quite strong. I don't think she's playing her best tennis. I still think there's way more gears that she can dip into, but she's doing enough to get through those, pressurised moments, and I think that's where she's most impressive, to be honest with you. She fought through some long games, that 8-minute game a couple of games ago, and another long game at the end there, but she gets herself over the line.
Yeah, she holds herself over the line again. It's becoming a habit. It's becoming an ingrained habit.
I think she's taking in some of that. I think she must be feeling a bit weak, because she's holding up the interviewer here to try and get one of those tubey things that you have to suck and sort of like squeezing out the toothpaste, isn't it? But yeah, it's interesting to see her doing that straight away.
Tennis player's equivalent of a sugar rush.
Yeah.
Iga, take your time, no rush.
She's got to take some water after it, because they're horribly sickly.
Tomorrow, so
Yes. Iga, congratulations. It's very difficult to play against Jessica Pegula, because she's someone that she changed the rhythm very well, but it looked that you were just flying on the court. I don't know if you felt that way. Good job.
well, for sure I tried. I guess flying really wasn't a good option, because she was playing so low that I actually needed to not fly, So being low on my legs, I think, was the key, which sometimes was really hard, because, as you said, she was changing the rhythm, but I'm pretty happy that I was playing with, good dynamics, so I was able to push her back a little bit.
Can you explain us, please, the conditions? Because today is a beautiful day here in Paris, beautiful day here in Chatrier at Roland Garros, but everybody talks about conditions. Can you explain this crowd here and people on TV? What's the difference when you feel the ball with a sunny day or a tougher day?
For sure today is warmer, so I feel like the ball is flying a little bit faster, and I had to adjust to that for sure, especially with her really flat game, with Jessica's flat game. But yeah, the atmosphere on the stadium is great, and it's really nice to hear you all, sometimes even right before serve. But yeah, I'm overall pretty happy that I can play here, and I had so many matches, because it's always a great experience on Philippe Chatrier.
And you've been winning so many matches, but do you still feel like nervous before going on court?
Oh yeah, I do. I think when I'm gonna stop being nervous, it's gonna mean that something weird is going on, because it's always nervous, But the thing is that sometimes stress is a positive thing, that is gonna kind of make you, more active and more tense, so you can really play your best performance. So I try to use it that way.
And to finish, yesterday was your birthday. Did you have time to celebrate? I don't think so. Maybe tonight or today you're going to do something different?
Yeah, I had time to celebrate actually. It was pretty nice. It's always weird because I'm not at that level yet that I know where's the limit for me for celebration, you know. So I still try to be really careful and just spend more time being cool and just, you know, lying in bed. But maybe in a few years I'm going to be able even to watch the Champions League final in a tournament and still win. We'll see.
Okay, congratulations for your birthday, congratulations for your win. Iga Świątek, numéro 1 mondial, il avance la demi-finale ici à Roland Garros. Merci beaucoup.
Alex Correia with the questions to Iga Świątek, who celebrated her 21st birthday yesterday. The birthday boy on Friday will be Rafa Nadal. He turns 36. In the past, he's always been presented with a cake. He may well be presented with a cake, but he may not want to eat it. If he loses his semi-final to Alex Zverev, he certainly want to eat it before the match is played. So well played, Iga Świątek, win number 33. She'll play Daria Kasatkina of Russia in the semi-finals tomorrow. And it's hard to make a case for Kasatkina in that match, Annabelle.
Yeah, it really is. I was just sitting here thinking exactly that. I mean, the one thing I guess is that she has a totally different game to Pegula. So sometimes you like a match with a similar style opponent going into a semi like that because you think, well, I've got over that and it'll be a similar rhythm to the match. Whereas Kasatkina will be looping the ball, slicing it. She'll be sort of throwing in some junk. But I just feel that Świątek will have too much power, weight of shot from the back, too many answers to everything, and she will probably take control quite quickly, I would think. So yeah, it's hard to make a case for her.
We shall see. Peak Daria Kasatkina is a joy to watch. If she's flowing with confidence, she's obviously a lot more confident now than she has been over the last few years, but to suddenly get to a Grand Slam semi-final and try and stop Iga Świątek in her tracks is going to be a phenomenal challenge for her. But that is why we watch sport, because of course no one quite knows what is going to happen. Iga Świątek is signing the camera lens. Annabelle, thank you. Have you enjoyed your brief 3-day Parisian sojourn?
How could I not enjoy it, Russell? It's been absolutely wonderful. I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's been lovely being back here on site and this beautiful venue, wonderful clay court tennis, and lovely to be with you and
it's
David
lovely to
and
have
the
you
team.
back.
Thank you for having me.
It's the first time we've been able to do as you know, a full proper Grand Slam coverage for a couple of years, and the same at Wimbledon, and we will see you there.
Yes, I look forward to it.
You're pretty much in Wimbledon white today.
I'm in all whites today, so I'm preparing for Wimbledon. I look forward to it.
We look forward to
Thank
seeing you then.
Thank you so much.
It'll begin in 3.5 weeks' time.